Bharat stage norms are pushing India towards cleaner mobility. Upgrading to BS6 isn't just regulation, it's vital for our health and environment. Meanwhile, we have opened our call in line for the people in Delhi and National Capital Region to share what you think about this. Let's start off our conversation. Once again, those caller lines are open. Numbers are on the bottom of your screen. So call us. Tell us what you think of these strict regulations that have been implemented to reduce the AQI levels in the city and ensure that Delhi becomes pollution-free. Dr. Anil Kumar Gupta is a board member of the CPCB, joining me on the telecast. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. And first up, about this big decision that has been taken, a ban on vehicles that are not BS6 compliant entering into Delhi-NCR region. Do you think this is feasible in the long run? And the bigger question, why have these stringent policies that have been in place for the past several months and years still not been implemented strictly? There are lacks because of which we are witnessing that within a span of just 2 days, there has been a huge reduction in the vehicles which are not compliant to the BS6 compliance levels, not traveling in Delhi, and thereby reducing traffic significantly.
Yeah, good evening to you and all the viewers. You have very rightly pointed out your question. Before I answer, let me just give brief introduction about the AQI, because everybody is now aware of the AQI air quality index, and it is for last fortnight, it is in the severe or the poor conditions. You know, the air quality index has 8 parameters. They are normally particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and lead. And the highest degree, highest reading, you can say, of any one of these will lead to the degree of the AQI. If you analyze this, all the 8 parameters, particularly in the winter season or around the year, we have noticed that particulate matter 2.5 and PM10, they have the highest reading, or that reading is normally the AQI. So what we have today, today we have an AQI of 398, and which is the prominent pollutant, it is the particulate matter 2.5. So normally it is a switchover, but more severe is particulate matter 2.5. Now to control the air pollution, to reduce the AQI reading, we have to hit hard on this particulate matter. Now it is established that out of 8 parameters, 6 are normally in the range, or you can say below 50, but particulate matter PM10 or PM2.5, they are normally the culprits, you can say. And now what is the source? Source of PM10 is mostly from the dust. Maybe it is more from the dust, stubble burning, garbage burning, but mostly from the dust. But what is the source of particulate matter PM2.5? It is mostly, I mean, I'm not saying 100%, mostly is the vehicular pollution. Because vehicular pollution, I mean, they, like the diesel or petroleum, I am not talking of the EV. In the exhaust, in the emission, they emit nitrogen dioxide, particulate matter 2.5, carbon monoxide, and volatile organic compounds. And prominent on them is carbon monoxide, nitrogen, particulate matter. The more the population of the vehicles, the more the traffic jam, the more the bottlenecks, the more the potholes, that leads to more generation of particulate matter 2.5. So when you have to reduce this particulate matter 2.5, you have to have a control on the source. And now you're talking about the BS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the emission norms. As per the quality of the engines, the prescribed standards are there, the exhaust norms are there. They are given in the detail. So it is there that BS6 is compatible. They produce very less of these pollutants. So that means if BS6 and above that, I mean BS6 or EV or CNG or something, they are allowed, there will be a reduction.
Absolutely. Again, I do point out the question again. I do highlight Tutu Dhawan is also on the telecast with me. He is an automobile expert. Tutu Dhawan, the big question. These norms had been implemented. The Supreme Court had made strict restrictions about allowing vehicles, below BS6 levels to enter into NCR region. Why have they only been implemented 2 days ago?
I don't think it is so surprising, because every time a situation like this happens, there is a knee-jerk reaction amongst the government and the officials. They will keep sleeping throughout the year, and suddenly they will wake up and talk about PM10 and PM2.5 and all the pollutants that are going on. But nobody is willing to look at the actual problem. First of all, let me tell you, there are no borders for pollution. So even if you are talking about not letting Euro 4 or Euro 3 vehicles, BS3 or BS4 vehicles come into Delhi, that doesn't mean that you are going to shut the shutter for the pollution to come into Delhi. Nevertheless, since our senior advisor has already told us what the reasons are, yes, I do agree with him. These pollutants are normally kicked up by the dust that these vehicles move on the road. So why aren't we looking at a smoother driving rather than having stops and goes and stops and goes? On top of that, there is no cleaning of the dust on the road. There is no vacuuming. And on top of that, when we are talking of water being sprayed is just like, ऊंट के ऊपर से छानी उतार दो. Is that sort of an attitude we have? It's just a knee-jerk reaction, and nobody wants to take this thing seriously throughout the year to be able to come to a conclusion that we'll have a cleaner winter every year.
Right. Abhinav Singh, do tell us about the implementation of this norm in April 2020. There has been a drastic difference that had been witnessed. There is lesser traffic on the roads. There is a palpable change that the people, commuters are appreciating. But how long do you think will it take once, it's only been 2 days that this BS6 compliance has now been made stricter. Vehicles are not being allowed into Delhi. But how long will it take for it to reflect in a bid to reduce the AQI levels? They are still at a very poor level. At this point of time, the meteorological department is making these forecasts that the next week, Sunday onwards, in fact tomorrow onwards, the air quality index is going to drop further to severe level. Bharat Bala is also on the show with me. Bharat, the same question to you. How long do you think will this change that has been implemented now is going to impact positively in reduction of the AQI levels?
So look, at the outset, if I pick up from whatever the other two panelists have also said, the real enemy here is pollution. And pollution per se, whether it is a border, whether it is, like a gentleman just mentioned, it's a knee-jerk reaction or whatever. Are these measures good enough? Time will tell. Obviously, the government is going to sit and experiment on whatever methods that they can to try and reduce it. But I think some of these measures, maybe, in the short run may have some temporary effect, but you also have to think about the fact that people need more mobility. People need to drive. What happens to their cars? If you suddenly ban them for 3 months, 4 months, are you expecting them to own some other car? If yes, are you incentivizing them to buy some other car? And the more important question is by virtue of banning a few cars, are you able to actually solve for pollution? Because how much is vehicular pollution as an overall contribution? And is that within that, is it a BS4 contribution, a BS6 contribution? Is it a state-wise contribution? Is left to be seen. But having said that, the situation out there is so bad that any and every measure has to be tried. So I'm of the thesis that, whether it works or doesn't work, you never know till you actually try. Some of it may even seem very extraordinary today, but maybe in hindsight tomorrow, it might have helped. But I don't think, banning out a vehicle or setting a couple, a level that BS6 works and BS4 doesn't work is enough. I think there has to be a longer term view in terms of converting people to less polluting vehicles, whether it's by stage or by the kind of engine that they use, whether it's CNG, EV or otherwise.
Right. Okay. I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Anil Kumar Gupta. There have been other measures that have been announced by the Delhi government. The Health Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa has also come out. He has said that petrol and diesel will not be provided to vehicle owners until and unless they have the PUC certificates. This has also witnessed huge queues at petrol stations. There have been instances that have been reported that these PUC meters have stopped working. There has been congestion, but at the same time, lesser vehicles on the streets. Goes on to show, there are, as per official figures, there are 966 of these PUC centers that are set up in the entire Delhi region. There are a total of about 50,000 vehicles that have been given the PUC certificates in a span of 24 to 48 hours. Do you think the public citizens are also must be held accountable that you are not following the norms that have been implemented since 2020, 5 years? It is time and again, every single day, reminders that have been given by the relevant authorities that you have to get your PUC certificates done, and people still don't comply. Responsibility, the onus equally lies on the shoulders of the citizens as well.
See, it is a hard fact that citizen wants government to do all the things, but when it comes to the duty to the citizen, they normally bypass. Delhi is a very congested city. If I talk about the Delhi, it has an area of 1483 square kilometer with a population of more than 3 crores. Delhi is highly densely populated city. And even the vehicular population of Delhi is the highest in the country. Somebody say 1 crore, somebody say less than that. There is no official figure. But when the air quality is severe, there are 2-3 reasons. One, because dispersion is not there. The in-house generation of this air pollution is there in Delhi. 2 major sources have been identified, which I mentioned earlier, the dust and the vehicles. And now for last several days, the particular matter 2.5 is the main culprit. In fact, the major pollutant, you can say. And one of the major source is the vehicular pollutions. And if a vehicle is not complying with the pollution norms in the vehicle engines, I'm talking about the diesel and the petrol vehicles. That means these vehicles which is not complying are emitting more. So government has taken a measure. In fact, it should be a regular, as per the Motor Vehicle Acts. Every time when you take your car, scooter or motorbike, whatever that may be, 3-wheeler, on the roads, it needs to have the 3 documents, the RC, the insurance and the PUC certificates. That means if now I have heard that more than 1 lakh vehicles have taken in 2-3 days, that means the citizens were also violating these norms. They were not tuning, or their engine was not up to the mark, so that the vehicular emission is within the limit. So government has taken, but it is the duty of the citizen to get their vehicles PUC certified so that their emission is within the range. Now, because emergency situation is their so-called emergency, you can say, because air quality is in the poor or severe conditions, now government is taking harsh step. In fact, round the year, somebody may not be agree, but round the year, there should be a strict compliance of all these
Absolutely.
norms. I give you one example.
Yeah.
Previously, lead used to be the culprit. Out of the 8 parameters, when diesel petrol were mixed with the lead, I remember about a decade back, the lead was banned and the lead-free petroleum products were out. Now, the contribution lead is not there. So, the same way as they are also improving the quality, so we as a citizen have to take the measures and have to comply with all the rules and regulations.
Okay, all right. Government, coming back to you again, the big, people are getting encumbered They are facing problems. Commute has been very difficult. There have been so many instances. My ground reports that reporters have filed, they have spoken to the people who have been trying to enter into Delhi from Noida or from Faridabad or other parts, Ghazipur border, talking about Kalandi Kunj, Badarpur. There have been so many instances where the police have even fined commuters 10,000 rupees for not complying with the BS6 norms. Commuters have been asked to park their vehicles along the border and take another vehicle or take the metro to commute to different parts of Delhi. The onus, I once again say, is on the citizens, on the commuters, that are they ignorant enough to not know what is happening in the country, what is happening in their region, or they are willfully not complying because they think they can get away with it? Because if it were London or Paris or New York, things would be different. But simply because you're living in India, chalta hai attitude is something that is taken for granted. So now, in a situation such as this, where emergency lies, people are not going to be able to commute if you don't have the cars, they don't have the vehicles that are compliant with the BS6 norms. What are the options do they have? Buy the cars as soon as possible, and if it takes 1 month, 2 months, then use public transport.
It is unfortunate to conclude to the fact that suddenly a law is passed which is unpractical. Now, within 48 hours, how can you expect either the government to arrange transportation for all those people who get stranded on the borders, and or how do those people who come from outside into Delhi to work, they would come in and go back? Our transportation system is not sufficient in any way. I mean, in any case, we are suffering from transportation, and that is the reason why most of the people can't even afford a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. They have to buy to at least go and work and come back. Now, in a situation like this, when they don't have the funds and they don't have the wherewithal to go and buy something off the shelf, what is the alternate for them? They are all left high and dry just on the borders, or once they have come in, they can't go out. People coming from Noida, they cannot go back. Coming from Delhi, they can't go back to Noida. From Noida, they can't come to Delhi. So these are the unpractical situations. Now, if this was going to happen, at least everybody should have been informed earlier, or there should be an alternate. If there should be some public transport, or there should be some extra metros running, extra buses running across from the border to in Delhi and back. So, it's a big vacuum for the public, and that is the reason why we have this panic.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me, sharing your views. Again, stricter norms that have now finally been implemented. Fines up to the tune of 10,000, even 20,000 are being imposed. And that is finally deterring people, deterring commuters from flouting the BS6 norms. We'll keep a close track on how this impacts the AQI levels. In the course of the coming weeks, traffic on the roads has definitely reduced because of the non-compliance, and thereby the cars and the two-wheelers that have been up until now, violating those compliances have been plying on the roads, but no longer the case. But will this finally positively impact the air quality index of Delhi? Remains to be seen. Thanks for watching Newsx.